All right, so for years since the store opened or since I came on full time, we sell action figures and toys, and along with other stores like Suncoast, who deal in almost the same kind of merchandise that comic book stores do, collectible action figures.
Now, a comic book store doesn't get every toy like, say, that a Toys R Us does, but they will carry shit that, like, matters to a comic book store audience.
And that Toys R Us will not carry.
So your Diamond catalog comes out every month. It's about a third of the size of a phone book. It's very thick. And a comic book store manager like yourself has to go through it every month and order everything that he wants to receive over the course of 3 months down the road, because it's 3 months out that you order. So what you could do is order your toys. Say, you wanted to get a line of Batman figures based on the Batman Begins movie. You could order that line of toys from Diamond, but there's a note in the book that says you're not guaranteed to get these before Toys R Us does. Right. So from day one, Walt decided pretty much there's no point in ordering the figures directly from Diamond, action figures particularly, when I could just as easily go to a Toys R Us, go to a Suncoast Video, who started carrying figures at one point, and pick and choose the figures I want and buy them there and then put them on our shelves.
And essentially they were the same cost, because these big stores were getting them, I guess, far cheaper than a
because they buy them in bulk. Walt instigated the better wrinkle on the whole game. Like, it's one thing to go out to a Toys R Us and try to find a Han on Tauntaun, bring it back to your store, sell it for double. What happens if you don't sell it? What happens if the market crashes on Han and Tauntaun and you're stuck with a fucking Han and Tauntaun?
Well, not really if you save your receipt.
Aha! That's the wrinkle.
You have 90 days to sell it.
That's the wrinkle that fucking Flanagan came up with. Flanagan took the game a step further and started not only going to the stores, hunting out the treasure, bringing it back here. If it sold for double or triple, great. If it didn't sell within the allotted period, the audacity of Flanagan was to take it right back to Toys R Us.
No,
that's the first wrinkle.
That's not the real audacity.
I know. It gets even better. Like, this was a crime syndicate that evolved over years, and a scam that started very simple and then became so fucking complex that it required henchmen as well. So the first stage of the game was like, well, why do we need this? If we can't sell this figure, let's take it back and get either store credit, or sometimes if you had your receipt, you would get
you just get your money back.
Refund. What was the next wrinkle of the game?
The next wrinkle in the game was, just dawned on me one day, was walking into a Toys R Us or Toys R Us will do first, because if they had 6 Boba Fett's on the pegs,
right,
I'd be like, oh, I'll take them all. I need all these Boba Fett's. I'm driving in the car home, and I'm just like, man, I know these are going to sell really fast. I wish that my Leia's would sell this fast. That I got sitting down in the cellar that no one cares about.
Right.
And then I'm getting the receipt ready to turn in so I can get compensated for what I paid for them. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, all the receipt said was at this point, 1999 or 98, it just says Star Wars figure.
Ding!
Ding! And I was just like, well, I wonder if I just return all the garbage that's down, all the garbage Star Wars figures that have been sitting in here for months. Mm-hmm. Will that work? Mm-hmm. It would just essentially trading unsellable for sellable merchandise.
Then you up the ante of the game. The game escalated to what?
So then Suncoast would carry this, if you get a case of Marvel Legends and you had one shiny Iron Man per case, you'd go there to see if they had it, and they had 4 of them. Mm-hmm. And on their stickers just said Marvel Legend figure. Mm-hmm. So again, you could just take that sticker then and put it on any figure, and you're pretty good bet that the person that you're bringing it back to would have no idea if this was a Marvel Legend figure or a Barbie figure.
So you could take a shiny Iron Man, carefully
that I paid $14.99 for at
Suncoast.
Put it on a $6 Iron Man figure. that I go right down the street and buy KB and just stick that sticker on and return it to them. Right. So then I saved $8 on that Iron Man figure.
Absolutely. And then if you sell it for more than what you bought it for, if it becomes a valuable figure, there's more money coming in. So this went on for years.
Years.
Like it's so insane. Like we there's two Jay and Silent Bob secret stashes, one in Red Bank, one on the West Coast, in Laser Blazer, and right now they're both legitimate operations. But in the nascent days of Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, they were pretty fucking they were illegal because we also sold bootleg videos as well. Remember in the beginning we used to sell bootleg videos? And it wasn't just like bootlegs, like there were cool bootlegs like, the Star Wars Christmas special that you can't find anywhere. Bootlegs that you would find at a comic book show. We started just selling movies, like bootlegs of movies. And I work in the movie business. You did this for a long time.
Right.
So much so that like you then like had Zapsik making runs for you.
I had Mike.
Why did Zapsik have to start making runs?
Mike and another employee, Jeff, because I would come in and they would be like, "Oh, here you go." They'd have a face on. They'd start very hostile. Mm-hmm. They'd get towards me towards the end because they knew some of these guys had figured it out and were not happy, even though they were just, they were working for the man. They seemed to take it as if I was taking money out of their pocket.
Who, the people who ran these stores?
They weren't running the stores. They were just like, they were just clerks. They were just like.
So eventually, you became so familiar to the clerks,
right?
That they started smelling something funny.
Oh, yeah, and they were not happy about it. I guess for the fact, too, is that I would have like 15 figures to bring back, and it took a long time, and it was a hassle, and I was a true pain in the ass.
Were they ever just like, how about next time before you buy a figure, you make sure you want a figure?
Oh, I heard it all. I heard it all, and I almost started to dread to do it, and then I started to get the other guys that worked here to do it.
So you became
nasty ones too, just like
you became the mastermind. Like basically, you were like a Lucky Luciano. You start off on the street, and then you work your way up, and you become the capo de capo tutti, and then you have other people going out and doing it. You'd sit back in the management position.
There was an employee there. I remember that I remember seeing and I remember dealing with. And one day he came in about a couple months ago. He came into the store.
And this is what we told. All that to tell this story.
He comes into the store one day, and he goes, I don't know if you remember me, he goes, but I used to work at Suncoast. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I remember you. And
would you say Suncoast was the most egregious of the
we
two stores that you monopolized?
Thousands of dollars, thousands and thousands of dollars were made off of Suncoast, and it's nuts. But
from one store in.
Well, no, I'm talking about the Suncoast all over New Jersey. I just wouldn't hit one Suncoast. I just couldn't do it to one because it was...
Your tentacles moved out.
I was all over
the state.
Monmouth County and Middlesex County. But this guy came in and he goes, I don't know if you remember me. He goes, I used to work at Suncoast. I was a manager there. I was like, yeah, I do remember you. And he goes, and he became, I guess, a fan. But of your stuff. And he was coming in buying some of your merchandise, and he goes. He goes, I got to tell you a story. He goes, back when I was managing, we used to have these meetings. I don't know what you would call them, but like head manager meetings, where all the managers would come to one location and they would go over business and things they had to address. And he goes, your name would come up in the meetings more than once. At least 3 to 4 times. Your name would come up. And they would ask or certain managers, do you recognize this name? And some of the managers would be like, no, that name doesn't. Why? And they'd be like, well, this guy is buying huge amounts of merchandise and then returning it, and it's always a wash. Like he buys $180 worth of stuff, he returns $180 worth of stuff.
And they used your name? They were like,
yes.
Walter Flanagan?
And one manager was like, he told me, one manager, it was a girl manager, he goes, he didn't do it in my store. And then the corporate guy got all pissed and he was shuffling his paper. He goes and he slammed the paper and he goes, yes, he has. And he showed her the paperwork. And they started to go, now we're here to try to solve this problem, and we want to know if legally we can ban him from the stores. And they had a lawyer on a conference call. He wasn't in the room and said, well, I don't think that you can do that. I don't think that you can legally ban somebody from the store. And then he said they were getting bought out. Suncoast was at this point by some other
Musicland,
or something like that. and my name fell far down the list of things that I had to take concerns.
But there was a window.
Yes, where they were talking about me for like that. Like I was number 1. No, I was number 2 or 3 on the things to address list.
So, like, first up, we have to talk about how to boost sales percentages in this quarter. We have Christmas coming up, so that should. I see new product coming in. There's big movies coming out, so I think that should take a second order of business. Walt Flanagan. What can we do about the question of Walt Flanagan? Essentially, you were Al Capone and you had your own team of untouchables trying to figure out how to bring you down and shit. They're like, maybe we can get him on tax evasion or something like that. That is so fun. And this was like 10 years after you used to do it?
Yeah, this was easily like 10 years later. The guy had come in and told me about it.